Thank you. My name is Gautam, and the panelists have already been introduced. Thanks a lot. I think we'll get straight away to the problem more than anything else, right? So what we're trying to understand is the last mile fulfillment strategies that make D2C brands a world, the experience as world class. That is typically what we're trying to understand and what it really means. I think we have a lot of D2C brands in our audience, and it will help if you can share your experiences. What I've done is we've discussed these questions before. I put these questions for you, for the audience also, to understand and get out the real strategies that you've been working on for all this time. So before we start with the questions, and I would put one of my experience first, right? So just to set the context for everybody. So you know what Shiprocket does. We help brands ship their orders across the country, across the world now. We also help customers with their fulfillment now. But this whole journey started when I was talking to one of our customers, and that was 2020, early 2020. And that is when the D2C brands really started getting funded, and the people were realizing that these are products that customers are buying, and there's enough value to be created there. And D2C was typically the journeys that D2C brands were typically taking, where they were selling on marketplaces first, ending up on their own websites, creating their own websites, and having customers to come and buy, and typically go on Google, Facebook, run ads, get customers to buy their product. One of the customers I was talking to, and I was trying to understand what is the problem that he's facing now that he's scaled his business to a level through a D2C website. What is his next challenge? And I understood when he was telling me that today I get a customer, I market a customer, he comes on my website, buys for the first time, and doesn't buy from me second time. I am selling a consumer good. What he was selling was a personal care product. He's expected that the customer will come back and buy again. He spoke to the customers to take feedback. He said they are using their product, but he's not coming and buying it from the website. And imagine they were going to Amazon and buying those products. And that means 40% being shelled out from his pocket, going to Amazon's pocket, where he's actually acquiring his own customers. So I tried to understand, what is the problem? The real problem was that there was no trust issue. There was no pricing differential. There are no coupons being attached. But the only difference is that the time of delivery, when a customer is buying from his website, says 4 to 7 days, but Amazon says, I'll deliver it next day. So the whole delivery experience of an item, of an order, of a product that one has ordered becomes the conversion factor also. And I think that is, I'll just set that context, and I'll let everybody else drive this now. But my first question to all of you guys, right? And I would like to start with Meher, maybe, right? So how do you think, and he's been helping a lot of brands run their marketing and offer the customer experience. So I will typically pose the first question to you. How do you think that, what is your brand or the companies that you help, what are you guys doing to make sure that you're giving a great post-order experience to the customer? Once the customer has placed an order, how do you maintain the experience so that the customer still converts, comes back, etc.?
Yeah. One of the important elements that every business, every brand has to consider post the acquisition of the customer is to maintain a straight, direct communication with them. So what we suggest to most of our brands, and what we actually implement on I would say an automated flow of communication, just the way you guys just showed how the tracking works, and if there is a RTO, if there's a return, is there someone who's calling them up, understanding what the problem is, why is there a return and stuff like that. So if those things are there has to be a straight expectation of an SOP which could be communicated to the customers automatically. So what we do for some cases where Shopify is there, we create an automated email wherein if a fulfillment or if a delivery is not executed on the Shopify, an automated email from Klaviyo, which is an email marketing tool, so we use, and then automated email goes out to the consumer saying that there's a delay of 24 hours in your order, and you can expect your order in the next 24 hours. So at least the consumer, at least your customer knows that there is a delay. And if you don't do that, that's the last thing you want to do with your customer. I think that's something which is very important in any case whatsoever.
I think that's one of the most fundamentally most important parts of
Yeah.
not I would communication around the supply chain, and I think that's fundamentally
Very
the
important.
idea is that you will always the customer is forgiving if you're asking for forgiveness.
Yeah,
Otherwise
yeah,
it is not.
yeah. You gotta talk to them. That's the most important thing. I
Yeah,
think that's something which we could learn from Amazon, how he's doing it. Yeah.
absolutely.
I would love to add to it.
Please.
I strongly feel that continued communication is a warm gesture of communication from the brand to the consumer. So even if there is a delay, the consumer is always forgiving if there is no gap in the communication being offered to the customer. And that's where the whole game applies, that just be consistent in your outreach strategies to the consumer. And as my colleagues are suggesting, that the continuation has to be facilitated by the right automated tools, depending upon which scale in the business we are. And that's really important for a D2C brand to actually survive and thrive in the whole bustling space of D2C sector.
Thank you, Sonal.
So there's something which I can add here. When we started about 15 months back, 6 months down the line, we decided that me and my co-founder that we should have a call to all our customers who have received our products and see how has their experience been, because we are new in the market. We should have some feedback. To our surprise, the most important thing which they remembered is how they received the package or when they received the package. So for them, that's when we realized that, for them, receiving a package in a 2 or 3 day lead time vis-a-vis what we were delivering in 4 to 6 days is something which is not expected. And that is when we realized that, yeah, we have to work out on strategies or fulfillments the way Amazon is working to really grow the business. Because the first experience of the customer with the brand is when they receive the product. Yeah. After they use the product, that is a whole different set of experience. But when they receive it, it should be a good experience for the brand.
Thanks, you. Thanks. That gives me a clue to my next question also, by the way. But I want one more, I want to touch upon a different aspect of the same question is, what is the impact of doing something like this on your conversion? So that means, does this mean more business for you? And how does that impact? Maybe you run marketing for most of these companies. You should answer this question first.
And one thing that you absolutely said, that the repeat customer is not happening. I mean, the benchmark is 30% of your customers should buy from you. If you have more than 30%, that means your top line is not growing. But if you have anything less than 30%, definitely you have something going on with your product or something going on with your delivery. So it's important that that we have that sort of a, I would say, upsell, cross-sell sort of a communication with our customers who have bought from us. And I think what he just said is talking to the customers on and off on a regular basis will also give you clue about where and where you're going wrong. So pick up the phone, talk to the customers is something which every founder should be doing it. And I think that's it's a non-compromise thing that everybody should understand. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So the next question. As the industry moves to immediate gratification, right? It's moved from 2-day delivery, 3-day delivery to now. So right now, let's be let's tread carefully. 1 day and same day. So you order right now, you get it tomorrow. You order in the morning, you get it in the evening. To now crazy 10 minutes delivery, and it means different things for different industries. Frankly, 10 minutes is more suitable for grocery. I don't know if 10 minutes is or 20 minutes is. I'm not getting into that debate. But what I'm trying to understand is, as brands, when you start reducing the time you take to deliver your goods to the customer, what you're typically doing is you're moving the goods inventory closer to the customer. That means taking warehouses, looking at more partnerships with supply chain companies. Also makes, there are some technological changes that you will have to adopt. There will be, impact on your financial workflow. Your cash flow management will change. It will impact that because having more inventory being spread across the country. All those things start impacting a D2C brand, a small D2C brand to a large D2C brand, and everybody goes through that. And I would like to start with Shantum. How do you look at this today? What is your strategy? And what would you like the audience to know about that?
So we're in the clothing space, and I think, you know, different categories have different customer expectations. And for us, we do a lot of custom clothing. We're into high quality, all natural clothing. So for us, what we've really found is that immediate gratification also starts from the experience itself. So as soon as the customer is placing an order with us, we do get in touch with them via emails, via phone calls to, you know, make them feel like we've received, you know, there's an act of parting with your money in placing an order. And I think for every customer, when they're placing an order with a brand, they feel like they're the only customer. And I think that's actually really wonderful, because that's the way I feel when I'm placing an order. And I think taking that experience forward and making that customer feel special is as important as the speed of your delivery. You know, so putting that human touch in, as we were all talking about, and then expediting and, you know, making the customer feel like you're working your hardest, because different brands go through different stages. And, you know, you're typically picking up customers from the early stage and trying to hold on to them, and then turn them into your evangelists and, you know, have them go out and try and like tell their friends and tell their family to purchase from you. And what we try and do is, you know, give them something to say, you know, wow about, and be like, hey, these guys really care, and these guys really do make us feel like we're pretty much the only people that they're serving right now. And I think everything else is ops, and it is managed by us to kind of minimize our costs and have it be a profitable enterprise. But, you know, looking at it from a customer experience perspective, I think it is about communication. It is about setting expectations like we're talking about. I think as long as your expectations are clearly set, customers are fairly forgiving, like Sonal was also saying. And I think when you manage to beat those expectations, as Apurv said, I think customers are delighted, you know. So I think that's how we deal with it.
Anything that you want to add? Anything that you want to add on the supply chain partners that you typically use today? To be, I mean, I think you've been through that journey, and you were talking about that.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, we're continuously looking for feedback from our customers, and, you know, even from delivery people showing up and their attitude, because, you know, every time a customer is placing an order, they really feel like, and rightfully so, that it's the brand that is responsible for the delivery, you know. They don't care if I'm shipping through one courier partner or another courier partner. What they care about is, oh, a creatures of habit order is getting delivered, and the person is calling them and harassing them, you know, for the COD payment, or they're in office and they're in a meeting and they're getting 5 calls. So what we really look for is courier partners who understand, and then you have to be a little bit cost, you know, agnostic about this, and really be like, you know what, the customer's time and the customer experience is supreme. And as we grow, I think we try and not get self-obsessive about our problems and our thing, and keep that focus on the customer obsession to say, hey, first let's make sure these guys are having a great experience, and then we'll figure out how do we do this in a way that's easy for us. You know, a lot of companies tend to look at it the other way around and be like, hey, let's figure out something that's easy for us to do, and then hopefully it translates into a good customer experience.
I would like to take up that.
Actually, I was coming back to you. You're a dairy alternate product company, and immediate gratification is what your product is all about. I would love to know what you've done on the supply chain and how you're able to support your customers' requirements.
Gautam. So as a brand, which is like a 8 to 9 year old brand by now, and in which we are using D2C concept as a channel for our servicing to the customers. A couple of important things from my end. One, no communication should be an oral communication. So like an oral communication is zero communication considered at our company. So every communication needs to be properly documented. The second aspect covers actually three smaller angles to it. One, choosing the right third-party vendor, be it at the level of warehousing, or be it at the level of supply, or a combination of warehousing and logistics. One is that the right kind of choice. We've done some errors in that you know, aspect earlier, so we know it's a very important thing to opt for. Second, strengthening your own in-house team towards strengthening your D2C vertical. So as a brand, we should be about sustainability and about continuation in the market, and not really be solely dependent upon the third party alone. So our own in-house team should be simultaneously built in. And third, very important for the final seamless customer experience is the often forgotten, but very important, the right communication being maintained between your in-house and the third-party people. You know, because otherwise the blame game often starts happening at the practical, pragmatic level. And as a brand owner, it's finally very defeating if a customer ends up having a not so pleasant experience. So it's very important to cover up all these three different aspects. And yeah, so I think that's really important. And your earlier question, Gautam, wherein you were asking about the demand fulfillment centers and how do you really go about it. Typically, we opt for a very technical-oriented method around it, wherein we have our different SKUs enlisted onto, onto our systems, and we do color coding for the different SKUs. And the aim of the company, the aim of the brand is to always ensure that across all the warehousing systems, the color coding is of green. And the moment it becomes yellow, that's the time for the signal for our own in-house teams to replenish those warehousing stocks. And the final aim is not to let that color code change to red, so that every customer gets ably serviced and the demand is fulfilled at the right time because of the right fulfilling strategies applied at the respective warehouses. And that's where I think the beauty of the cyber kitchens or cloud kitchens or so many services are these days appearing, wherein these are low cost models, and I think a lot of us have a potential to leverage them better and to kind of finally serve the customer in a good manner.
Thank you, Pooja. Also, I think as D2C brands basically scale from what they have, and I've seen this with a lot of brands because we work with those customers, this technology starts becoming more and more important. Yeah. Typically, when the supply chain starts getting complex, when you have inventory lying in multiple warehouses, you have multiple channels, etc. Causes inventory leakages, it causes inventory lying at warehouses where it's not selling, etc. Or inventory being delayed in particular channel, reaching on time in some others. So, and I want to touch upon the whole technology piece. And when I say technology, just to take this conversation a little further, it includes a good order management system, it includes a good inventory management system, it includes a good warehouse management system. It also includes, further when you scale further, it also requires a demand replenishment software as well. So anybody who wants to pitch in and talk about the technologies that one has adopted, I would love the audience to know about it.
Yeah, I think, you want to go ahead? Yeah? Okay, thanks. Cool. I think one of the clients of ours who does it very well is Bata, and they use an omni-channel distribution, and their central warehouse is there, but at the same time, they connect to multiple stores across the country. So they have 1,500 plus stores. So if someone is ordering a product from a Santa Cruz area, so he's not going to get it shipped from Andheri. So if there's a store in Santa Cruz and if that particular SKU is available in that store, so the person is going to get the delivery from that store. So that's something which not everybody can fulfill, not everybody can do. But one thing that everyone can do is obviously spread their warehouses at multiple locations. So I think the way Amazon does it, and Amazon has spoiled every customer at this moment. Every customer deserves to get the instant gratification. Every customer deserves to get their product in the next 2 to 3 days or maybe 48 hours. And one way of doing that is spread your inventory in multiple warehouses. If not too many, at least north, south, east, west, considering where your product is getting sold the most. And then making it a point that you store your fast-selling, slow-selling product in those warehouses accordingly, and make sure that your marketing activity is buckling up in that area so that you could fulfill those orders in those given time. So as we all know that the way Amazon does it is that you see, if you're a Prime customer, you would not see a product which has no one-day delivery. So essentially what you're seeing is that only a product which has a warehouse or which has the product closest to where you're staying. So if you've not facilitated 4 warehouses, north, south, east, west, and you have a demand from all the 4 regions, then you're losing the opportunity to your prime customers in that zone. And the same thing applies on the brand.com. So I think brands like Shiprocket can facilitate such things for the brand.com, and that is, I think, the core element which every brand has to consider when they are looking at scaling. And I think that's really important.
Apurv, you want to take this also?
So, yeah,
Your experience?
So very early on, we realized that we need to have technology as part of our, supply chain. And we started using omni-channel platform whereby we are able to track, where we are able to integrate the different warehouses which we have in that channel. And we are able to understand where the inventory is moving fast. So the key here is we are keeping the fast-moving SKUs in the places which are close to the customer. And we try to identify which would be the place where most of our customers would be served better, apart from Mumbai, where our mother warehouse is. So that has been very important for us because, like you said, the customer comes first time to us, they visit our website, and then they go to Amazon. They buy our product at Amazon. The simple reason being it's a 2-day delivery which they get. And having used technology, it helped us. It helped us maintain the threshold levels of inventory there.
And I want to put this point across that what you said, if your delivery time is anything more than 48 hours or 4 days, your conversion rate definitely gets impacted. Take it, there's no option. Yeah, so delivery time, 48 hours is definitely going to boost your conversion rate. And I'm sure everybody knows that we are hovering around 2% of conversion rate on brand.com, and how important every inch of conversion rate is for everybody in this room. Yeah, so
absolutely. And I'll agree with you on that multiple times. Also, what it impacts in conversion is also a factor of not just marketing your product and then the customer converting into a checkout an order. It is also you taking a COD order because that is not yet delivered, so the conversion has not happened.
Right.
When you are delivering faster, we at Shiprocket move around 7 million shipments a month, right? Wow. Almost like $3 billion of GMV. Wow. When you look at the data, as the days keep going, the number of days further, the COD conversions goes down, right? It's obvious. So, and this is something which is important, and all the RTO shipments which are not delivered, COD orders which are not delivered, is actually a loss for the loss for the company. It's a huge loss. Inventory out there in the market, you paid money on customer acquisition that never got converted. Your product could have been damaged in transit because of that, depending on what category you sell. And you have to pay for the shipping backwards. So it's like the worst thing that can happen to your business in that sense. Cool. You want to add something?
Yeah, but I think at the same time, like at the keynote before this, and sustainability and environmental impact, I think as a sustainable clothing brand, what we found is that stocking inventory does lead to, you're then producing in excess and producing in advance, and then you don't know what to do with that inventory. And it really ends up creating sometimes a lot of waste, because you really don't know what to do with that. And interestingly, how the clothing category across the world has responded to this is really backward integrating. And so how we use technology is, by the time that we get an order, we use just-in-time manufacturing, and it shows up to a tailor stitching the product within 2 to 3, 4 hours of getting the product, and the product is out in the next 4 to 8 hours. And it's packed. So it's like real-time response to demand that lets us deliver on our sustainability promise, which is, a reason that the customer was interested in our brand in the first place. So you do deliver that, but at the same time, you sometimes do have to look back at your supply chain and be like, hey, can we make this more suited to the sustainability aspect of things?
Actually, similar to this, Gautam, actually is one more aspect which at times gets, which gets, uncovered, is the crucial importance of the right kind of counting of the stocks. So I'm really talking about the basic fundamentals out here, which ought to be happening at the level of the different branches of the third party vendor. So typically many new and young and like a low revenue, low RR based startups have this challenge on a practical level that they are unable to figure out the real amount of stocks lying at their third party warehouses. Now that gets very important to be actually correctly accounted for, and I think I'm hoping that Shiprocket has the right answers for that as well. And yeah, and the second aspect around here is also about that how actually India is actually leading the world in providing a real world-class D2C experience. Because in the West, there is not really much of a direct customer experience at their doorstep happening. And that's where we are actually showing the Americas and the Europes of the world that how really to kind of leverage on our own human resources and to provide a best of and the most economical D2C experience, because for the heck of it or for the sake of it, there is a online system happening in the West as well, but extremely expensive and not sustainable for their pockets. So yeah, so we are already leading the world and we are already showcasing the world the right kind of D2C strategies. And I think with more and more summits like these, this is only going to grow from here.
Thank you, Sonal. For the stock answer, I think technology plays a very important role in how the process and the technology plays an important role. But Shantum, that was really important part of the supply chain, because I think if we all were a little patient in our life, the world would have been a better place. So, and I think, and I was reading about this, actually supply chain causes a lot of carbon emissions. Anxiety to chodo, but carbon emissions. Anxiety causes carbon emission. But thank you very much for sharing that. Also, I think I'll move on to another aspect of supply chain. We spoke about manufacturing, that was interesting. We were not covering that, but that's a very interesting part of the whole supply chain, which is not talked about mostly, but essentially that is the most important part of the supply chain. And I want to talk about another one, which is not talked about again. The whole return experience for a customer. See, trust essentially becomes an essential part of a transaction. Transparency and trust. Now, if the customer will come and buy from you, as long as they know that they can come back to you and tell you that either they did not like the product or the size was incorrect, whatever the category is, giving them a good returns and a refund experience or an exchange experience becomes fundamentally important. And I would like to ask you guys, and let me start with Apurv on this first. Apurv, you want to talk about how your company is, I know that your company is not a product which is returnable in that sense, but I believe in your product also you would have built in certain aspects of it.
So absolutely. So we are into sanitary napkins. We have got reusable sanitary napkins, which is our flagship product. And what happens with sanitary napkins is there are different sizes which are available. Most of the time, what a buyer, when they buy, sometimes they're not sure whether the size is the right size or not. Irrespective of it, they place the order gets delivered. And that's when we receive a message on our helpline that, hey, I ordered this product and I feel that the size is not the correct size. So what we have done is we have empowered all our customer experience people in our company that, if there is a query which comes where they say that the size is not the right size, they are willing to exchange it for another size. Just go ahead, send the right size to them, and we can get it picked up maybe a day later or 2 days later. So a customer is actually not bothered whether the product which they have received is picked up or not. They are most worried whether the money which they paid, are they getting the right product or not? And that's the experience which they want. And if we are able to, give them that experience that, yeah, you don't worry, we have got your back. You order the wrong size, still we'll get it replaced, and there's no extra cost for it. We don't charge them anything. And that's the most important thing, I think, which customers appreciate.
Absolutely.
I think, that's very important, and most of the product categories that at least it's all repeat. mostly, and that is a high repeat. That's
Yeah.
high repeat.
Yeah.
And t-shirts are obviously high repeat also. We keep buying the same ones. Crazy people like me keep buying the same t-shirts all the time, same color.
Yeah, exactly. I think what our learning was, and we're just 2 years old, is that trust works two ways, right? So a lot of customers, I think we take the risk, and we are trusting them, right? And that's really important when it comes to customer retention, because you might have 4 or 5 out of 100 customers that are trying to, maybe not live up to the things that or they'll ship you back a different product. But I think it's really important as brands to kind of take that hit, for the 95 other customers that are doing things exactly as they would expect, right? So that game between you and those 95 customers, and getting them to come back and be like, hey, we trust you just as we expect you to trust us. So if there's a product, if there's a need that you have, and then again having that human touch on top of all these technologically driven processes, I think that creates a relationship between a customer and a brand, and that can really be long lasting. And I think that's been really valuable for us to build out.
I totally agree with that, and I think that is trust brings brand loyalty, loyalty brings repeat. Even if they don't like the product the first time, they'll like it the next time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not a one-way street, right? It's not about the customer trusting you. A lot of times brands, when it comes to trusting the customer, brands have no mechanisms for evaluating that. And now we're like, hey, is this a high RTO risk customer? Is this, and that's all pre-delivery. But like, again, when it comes to returns and exchanges, you do have that risk again of like, hey, I can deliver a really good experience by shipping out returns on the basis of trust, shipping out exchanges on the basis of trust without waiting to receive back and verify if they've sent me back the right product. But when I do that for a customer, they feel trusted, right? So emotionally, it's something like, if I'm buying from someone and I didn't get the right size, and the brand on the other side sends me the right size, trusting me to be like, hey, of course, I don't want to hold on to a product that I'm not paid for. And if 85–90% of customers behave like this, I've got a good business model to scale.
I'll do a bit of selling over here myself. So we did a.
I would also love to relate this with what PwC presentation was to how they were talking about how big brands are creating experience zones these days, offline ones. So similarly, even the D2C brands need to come out of their shells of kind of thinking that they are strictly to remain online and take the experience to another level by creating these frequent episodes of offline experience centers. So like companies have town halls, so to say, for their employees, for their internal teams. Similarly, we can have like a town hall themed or like a town hall patterned customer first-hand experience of the brand themselves, and many D2C owners will be surprised at the level of warmth and love which they'll receive from sharing their own personalities and their own experiences live in front of the live customers, because it's a real fan club emerging from those offline short-timed, frequently held, low-cost experience activities, I'll say. So WhiteCub does often do it, and we do receive a lot of engagement thereon. So I think D2C always has to remember that the final product or the service does remain offline at the end of it. None of us here are actually delivering only like a virtual experience. So as long as there is an offline component to it, we need not and we should not remain only online. There should be a marriage between offline and online for a good D2C, endless experience.
Got it. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I think I've seen a lot of D2C brands doing that now as well. I think there are still customers who they want to give the touch and feel experience to, and then acquire the customer offline, service them online later, which they were doing the other way around. Thank you for sharing that. Coming back to the selling part. So one thing that we do over here is interesting is then we understood this. There is bad customer behavior and good customer behavior, and then how can you consume data? Because if a company who sits centrally and does a lot of transaction, we understand how consumers are behaving across product category. One could pick if a customer has a very bad COD conversion percentage, or has a very high refund or exchange or returns, and then highlighting that to any D2C brand who may be serving the customer the first time. So thinking about it like a repository of buyers across different D2C brands and using that information, because you will typically find an Amazon and Flipkart doing it today, but they only do it for themselves. So more community approach around this would absolutely help every D2C brand. And I think we're typically trying to do that, and let's see where we get to, but that's something which is interesting.
I think that's one of your most important and selling point for any D2C brand, that you highlight the high-risk consumers for us. Yeah, so that's very interesting.
Yeah, like brands like Shiprocket, you know, Razorpay, like, you know, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Razorpay too.
That are kind of like collecting together and, you know, getting value out of the long tail D2C brands, and like, you know, and I think there's the data value of that is just incredible. Like,
They have a product called Third Watch, does something similar.
Absolutely.
There are a few products like Go Quick who are doing something similar. They're also there today. So.
Yeah, it's a really great data science kind of project to be like.
And I think it's a lot of value.
Yeah.
Also, just to, I think the last question for the day, you know, starting with the topic, how I think a lot of innovation is happening in the country. A lot of investments behind D2C is actually pushing a lot of innovation out, which is happening first in India. And, you know, we've all traveled, we've also have friends outside. They don't have the same experiences like you have. You today also, you get packets from USPS in the northern country, northern part of America. Europe is still evolving. Even the evolved countries are evolving in terms of D2C and how e-commerce happens. Though Amazon have a set experience, but outside Amazon there is a very different type of experience. You would like to share something just to close this conversation? Who can take this question for me?
Yeah, I think one fundamental difference between the delivery and the shipping method and the payment method in India is different than the Western world, is cash on delivery. And I think it's one of the underdogs, and most of the D2C brands and founders, they fear that aspect, and they think that cash on delivery is a hole in my pocket sort of a stuff. But I can vouch for it, and I have seen this, and I have seen this in real time with my clients. And I was just telling Gautam also at the backstage that higher the ticket value on COD, lower the return rates in India. So if you have anything above 5,000 or 2.5 or 3,000 rupees of AOV, and if you're offering a COD, you might get scared that I shouldn't. But trust me, India still has a lot of cash in their pocket, and they would want to shell that out, especially in whatever segment you are working. But if you are not leveraging COD, you're really putting the money on your table, which you are not, you know, which you're losing. You're absolutely losing. So don't fear COD. Grab it, but there's a way to do it. Make sure, one tip that I can tell you when you're doing COD is call the customers not the day they ordered, but call them on the day that you're delivering. If you do that, and if the answer is yes, and only after that you deliver, your return rates would be anything less than 2%. Seen this, done it, and first-hand experience. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I think just to sum this beautiful session, typically I think getting your products closer to the customer, reducing your time, showing the promise to the customer so their conversion improves, opening up COD to the customer so that you have the option, giving them a good return and refund experience, giving them an overall post-order experience from the time they place an order to actually, if they want to return the goods, through and through, giving them the personalized approach, taking a personalized approach with the customer. I think those are the key outcomes that I would take from this panel. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'll have time for just one question. And it has to be a quick question.
Don't do it.
So I am a D2C seller since 32 years, and two of my associates are sitting on the desk, and I have two questions for both of you. Quick one.
Yeah.
Great service at Shiprocket we get, Gautam. When are you starting electronic vehicles?
Electronic vehicles?
For delivery posts, because as a customer, we as a brand are very conscious about our carbon footprint. So we minimize our packaging, but then we are worried about the carbon footprint of going one packet from our factory, our warehouses to our customer, and then coming back. So suggestion and a question, by when you think, or do you have a plan to make your vehicles?
I think we are dependent on an ecosystem behind it. But typically what is happening is the ecosystem is coming out where electronic vehicles EVs are being used for delivery, last minute delivery. And that ecosystem is actually cheaper than the ecosystem of, vehicles which are running on fuel. So the ecosystem is changing automatically, and I am pretty confident that most of the deliveries today, in at least metros, where you have startups which are giving, which are not charging for EV deliveries from a high capex perspective, but a perspective from where they're giving on a per transaction basis. So that ecosystem is already changing. A lot of our deliveries do happen on electrical vehicles today also. Now, for the industry to change by itself entirely, it will take a few years, but I think it's in the right direction because they're saving money. Yes. So as long as you're saving money and it's cheaper for you, and the fuel prices did it increase today also?
No, they didn't.
And Gautam, the seat you sit on, you can really influence.
Absolutely.
Because you're a big buyer for all of them, and
Absolutely.
it will help all of us. And let's pedal to the customer.
Yeah, one of the things that we did was packaging.
Yeah.
We said we removed all, we moved to everything which was, eco-friendly in that sense from a packaging perspective, moved out of all the other packaging which was not environmentally friendly, and that was one thing that we did, for sure.
Wonderful. My second question to my very dear friend Meher. Meher, you're helping us reach out to the customers in India. Thank you. Do you do services for international market also? Because as USI, we want to sell in America and UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Amazon, again, I'm going to go back to that guy, but the platform and also eBay out here sitting somewhere also offers the same thing. There are 70,000 sellers on Amazon right now who are selling from India to the rest of the countries where Amazon is catering. A huge, huge opportunity which again stays underdog and underexplored by most of the sellers in India. So yeah, we definitely help sellers to take them abroad. We are obviously managing a couple of good brands in UK, US and Canada as of now, yeah. So you're definitely the next guy. Thanks.
Cool. So thank you so much. That was indeed a fulfilling discussion, folks. I have one question. Can you do something about the packaging that you guys deliver to my home? Can you take them back?
Take them back?
Yeah?
Yeah, there is a startup.
I mean, am I the only one? We get packages? Corrugated boxes, anything for that matter, bubble packs. I'll soon become a reseller of bubble packs, by the way.
No, but there's interestingly, there are a few startups which are coming in, which are, so the supply chain of packaging can be used. So as if the customer is happy taking products which are packed in a reusable packet, and there are some startups who are doing this. It is marginally more expensive because the packet has to move back in the supply chain, but they're not bubble wrap or boxes. These are packets where you can put a product, get it delivered, and then somebody will come and take the packet.
Sure, I think that's going to help.
In fact, as a brand, we do have extremely environment conscious client base already. In fact, some of them had stopped being our customers for a while when it was only of our retail store journey during that time, because they were not wanting to kind of dump the empty packs inside their homes. And once we reopened our ice cream parlors, where we are now doing a different range of dairy alternatives like vegan butter, vegan dahi, vegan yogurt, vegan buttermilk, etc. Now those customers have actually come back. And they are so minimalist in their lives, and hats off to their strive to minimize their carbon footprint, that they refuse to take any packaging whatsoever home. And yeah, we are already building up on our level of how to recycle the packs which go to the different homes. So yeah, so we are already at it, and yeah, it's a very important need of the hour today.
Awesome. Looking for the D2C brands to show the way to the larger guys. Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate you being here.